It's me, already does it. You can call me Rashid. I'm your anthropologist and sociologist. Listen, options. That is something everyone wants in life. Options. You wake up in the morning. What do most people do? Unless it's a Saturday or a Sunday, most people, when they wake up, they have to get dressed, they have to shower, brush your teeth, get dressed, and go to work. Why? Because if they don't go to work, they will lose their job, and without that job, there's no income financially. Without financial income, they can't pay bills and rent. So, do they really have options? Not many. Well, the option not to go to work is there, but the consequence of not going to work will reduce the further options in life. Because if they go to work, now they can pay rent. It means the outcome of them becoming homeless is not there. That means they prevent homelessness. And that means that they can pay the bills. And then when it's weekend, they have the option to go to a nightclub, or they have the option to go to a party, or they can travel with the airplane to a nearby location. And they can wait till their vacation and take the days off. And then, when they have the days off, maybe it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they can go hiking or whatever they want to do. So for most people today, in their daily lives, they don't have many options. Look, when you were a little baby, you had 0 options because you couldn't do anything for yourself. When you were a teenager, you still didn't have that many options because you were mostly financially dependent on your parents. So you had options, but your options were supervised by your parents. If you want to hang out with certain friends and your parents disapproved, then you couldn't hang out with them. And because you didn't have your own place to stay, you couldn't pay your own rent, you had to get along what your parents wanted. Well, a lot of people think that once you turn adults, that that's all over. Well, let me tell you, just because you're out of your parents' house, not in your own house, doesn't mean that you suddenly have more options. Turning 18 doesn't magically mean all options are open to you. You still have restrictions and you still have hindered from other people. You do. So, what most people attempt is to increase their options. Can you blame them for that? No. But here's the issue. The more options you have, the more risk someone else has. Okay, for example, you want to eat some ice cream. Well, you need to go and buy the ice cream. Or if you have the ingredients at home and the materials, you can make your own ice cream. Another option would be just to take the ice cream from the supermarket and not paying for it. However, this will lead to you being called a thief, a shoplifter, and because the community has the ability to send police after you, they will arrest you, you get a criminal record, and once you get a criminal record, your options of getting other jobs will be decreased, or or they force you into this thing called prison, and then because you're physically locked up there, you can't go to many places, so you miss out on opportunities in life. So it comes down to this. Everyone wants options. But human beings, they want to preserve outcomes, rightfully so. If you have a car outside, over there, you don't want to wake up the next morning and the car is gone. Some stranger took it and you never get to see the car again. And you're the one that paid for the car. You don't want that. If you have a farm, you don't want that, you wake up in the morning one day and half of your crops are gone. People just ate the crops and they weren't even ripe yet. If you have a house, you don't just want anyone to just walk into your house anytime. That's why you have locks on your door. So it's one thing to want to preserve outcomes. But to preserve an outcome, you must limit options for other people. I mean, for example, if you have a rainforest in, let's say, Brazil, everyone can enter in and out the rainforest. But if you have a resort and everyone can enter in and out, it's not a resort anymore because nobody pays to enter in. That means the business owner doesn't have any income anymore. Simple as that. So, yes, options is something everyone wants. But your options that you have, once you act on them, you affect other people. For example, let's say someone is a smoker and they smoke. They have the ability to smoke, to buy the cigarette or to roll their own cigar or whatever. But once they smoke, there's an effect in the environment, namely the smoke. If you stand nearby them smoking, Even though you're not a smoker, your lungs are affected too. So yes, they have the option to smoke, but that option will affect you. But what if you don't want to be affected? So what it comes down to is the following. For human beings to get along, we all need a code of conduct to be in harmony with one another. And that means we must voluntarily give up certain options to get along with other people. For example, it can be at night and you want to play a video game. But what if you're playing the video game with your friend is going to cause noise and hinder to the neighbors and they have to wake up the next morning? So we don't play the video game at night because you consider your neighbors. You see what I mean? We have to give up certain options just to get along with other people. Where does conflict arise in the world? When there's no balance in the restrictions. We are not built by the Father to operate by restrictions. Restrictions should only be there for practical reasons. For example, you can't drive a car if you're 12 and without a driver's license. For example, if you're not a medical doctor, you can't see medical files. Certain restrictions are proper to keep things safe and functional. For example, if there's a machine somewhere in construction, only certified construction workers can go there, because if you mishandle the machine, you can hurt yourself and other people. So, limiting other people's options is a practical thing in daily life. That's how we keep our communities functional, but there must be a balance. Every time you limit someone's options, it must be accounted for and you must be able to justify it. Just restricting someone's options just because you want to, that's playing God. And that's a problem with fallen mankind. They love to play God. They love to insist on controlling other people. So, what happens when others have this control obsession and they don't succeed in controlling you? They get frustrated. That frustration will lead to negative tension in their minds, emotions, in their body, and in their energy fields. So people become time bombs. Now, nobody wants to live around the time bomb. So what happens? We as human species, this is not a good thing we're doing, but we agree that certain people are okay to offload you on rest upon. That's what the laws of the land do, telling you who you're allowed to violate and how you're allowed to violate them. For example, if someone doesn't pay rent, you're allowed to kick them out and neglect their needs of having a place to stay. That's violence, charging them or else they're homeless. But human laws allow you to do that under certain conditions. If someone paid rent, you can't kick them out. If they are a minor, it's different. What I'm saying is that everyone wants options. We're just human. But here comes the question, why do they want options? Do they want options because they want to improve, become the best version of themselves, and to serve the community as God intended, or do they want options just to escape? Well, a lot of people in the world just want options to escape. Anytime things get a bit uncomfortable or anytime they have to do their part, they come with an excuse to bail themselves out and they leave. For example, let's say I have construction workers and they build the bridge or build everything they need to build. But then the employer decides, you know what, I want to use this money to buy a new apartment somewhere in Fiji. And he picks up the money and buys an apartment in Fiji and just ghosts all those workers. Now, there's an option he has. There's an option he has. He can do that. Now, actually, he has the ability to do that. But should he do that? No. Because now he has taken advantage of those construction workers. Those construction workers work for free. They have bills to pay. They have families to take care of. So he took advantage not only of those construction workers, but also of the children of those construction workers, their wives. And it actually caused harm to the community. So it's logical and proper for us to put restrictions on employers so that they can't just fire people out of the blue or withhold payment just because they want to. Because think about it, if there were no human laws and no societal repercussions on employers, a lot of them would go very far with their employees. They would. Let's think about parents. Not all parents out there are loving beings. Some parents regret having children. Well, that's their own fault, and now they take it out on their offspring. Some are incompetent when it comes to parenting. Some are just purely evil, they're just narcissists, want to explode all the time. Some decided to have children just to have someone to explode upon. Well, such toxic parents, what if there were no human laws and human institutions restraining them? They would abandon their children. They would sometimes even kill their children to get rid of them. They would. And in the far past, such things happened. By the way, in ancient Rome, there was this square in the city of Rome where parents could ditch their children till a certain age. So they gave parents the option, you got a child. He's 1 year old or she's 1 year old. You can't stand parenting too much, ditch the child. Let the child die or let others take the child, to turn the child to a slave or let the child become an orphan or whatever. Human beings in this fallen state have a tendency to escape and to run away. And if they can't escape and run away, they tend to explode and escalate in a violent way. So, if someone has the option and the opportunity to take advantage of you and escape, like they'll do it. I'm not telling you to be paranoid when you deal with other people and all that. No. Not everyone out there is a narcissistic monster, absolutely not. But understand, human beings tend to be as loyal as their options. If someone has 50 jobs he can choose from at any time, do you think they're going to put up with stress at the current job? If the current job they have is stressful and they can easily get any other job, let's say the 50 other jobs they can get any time within a day, they may begin to think about those other jobs, which is the less stressful. But if getting a job is a bit difficult because of all the restrictions, all the procedures, then there'll be more push to be loyal to the current job they have. So having lack of jobs works well in the advantage of employers because employees are more prone to be loyal and give their best. Because they have no choice but to put up with it or else they're homeless. And that's how society works. Worldlings, by default, tend to be loyal based on the options they have. You see this when it comes to friendships. When people are in the same situation as you, they tend to befriend you. They tend to consider you. The moment they notice more options, they tend to forget about you. A lot of people have gone through that. Or a lot of people have issues against you, they can't stand you, but they don't dare to act out their dislike towards you. Why? Because either you have a higher rank than them as a police officer or as an employer or as a parent or whatever, and them acting out their frustration towards you will backfire on them, or because acting out their unrest towards you will trigger other bad outcomes towards them. So the potential bad outcomes towards them or the lack of options to escalate on you easily and get away with it, that's why they behave towards you. The moment they gain an upper hand in you in daily life, suddenly they may reveal how they always felt about you. So all the time they had issues against you, all the time they had a certain negative feeling about you, but they couldn't act on it. They kept on the inside, and they kept on the inside, so it began to make them miserable. Suddenly, they feel like they have the upper hand, and now either they escalate on you, or if you're not around, they look for someone else to have upper hand over to dump all the issues upon. So often good behavior of human beings out there is based on the options they have. Now, this is not for every human being. Some human beings just want to be good people. They want to be of quality. And I admire that and I praise that. The Heavenly Father praised that. But that's not every human being. And this is the reason why, in the current state of the world, the public embraces the 9 to 5. Because let me tell you, it's the 9 to 5. The fact that the majority of the population has no financial options and no financial leeway, that is the reason why so many people behave themselves. If the 9 to 5 would be abolished tomorrow and people have more options, they don't have to survive anymore, go from paycheck to paycheck, I'm telling you, you're going to see more escalations, more conflict, more brawls, more beating ups, more stabbings, more cheating, more sexual violence. You're going to see more children being neglected. You're going to see far more ugly stuff. A lot of people have no choice but to keep their ugliness and their unrest inside. And they cope with it through addictions. Because they know once they act on it, they may be arrested, get a criminal record, or they may be blacklisted, can't get a job, and they're homeless or whatever. You see what I mean? Now, I don't approve the 9-to-5 lifestyle. I don't approve this situation where the majority of the population lacks financial options and financial leeway. I don't approve of it, and I never will. However, for fallen mankind, this works in keeping them contained. In the sense that it contains their negativity. There's still negativity, there's still violence, but the violence and negativity are contained. Is this a solution? No, it's not a solution. It's just a quick fix. The 9-to-5 is a quick fix against the unrest of the masses. It's not a solution. Christ is the solution. But because the public does not want solutions, especially they don't want to submit to Christ, that's why they have to cope with quick fixes. And the 9-to-5 is a quick fix. So I'm telling you, most people in the world, they're only loyal and safe based on their options. And if once the options increase and they can do things without being hindered, they'll do it and they won't regard other people. The only regard is their own ease. And that's why in the world, when someone breaks through financially, others tend to become anxious because they don't know whether the other individual will use their leverage for the benefit of the community or not. A lot of people, when they have a leverage, only use it for their own relief. Make themselves feel good, make themselves at ease, with no regard towards other people. That's what most people will do. It's only because you have the tax authorities and a lot of these government restrictions that a lot of those people with money tend to be considered towards the community. I'm not being pessimistic over it. I'm looking at reality. People get anxious when your finances increase because they have no certainty that your increase will benefit them. Let's say someone lives in a neighborhood and they get a financial increase and now they don't have to go to work anymore every day. Instead, they invite friends to come over to their house. And those friends eventually also don't go to work anymore because, hey, they're leeching off that guy who has the money. Those people who are not working, they suddenly will notice things in the community. They'll notice how neglectful people are. And they'll begin to talk. But here's the issue. If those men had to go to work every day, they wouldn't have noticed the neglect of the community. And because the neglect of the community wouldn't be addressed, nobody would feel uncomfortable. Here's what I want you to understand. Because people are often stuck in a 9-to-5, going from paycheck to paycheck, they don't notice how neglectful the environment is. And because they don't notice that, they're not going to lose their mind over it. But once you notice how people in the world neglect you, yet expect loyalty from you, societal loyalty, you're going to get angry and you're going to lose it. So that's why the obsession with the working full time. That's why society has this obsession with you working full time. Because once you work full time, you're often tired and exhausted. You have less options in life, and you also don't have the option to call things out without facing backlash. And because you're already tired and exhausted, you don't want backlash either, so you keep your mouth shut. So you tend to put up with a lot of societal dysfunction, a lot of societal harm. And most people, they put up with bad things and evil things because they don't want to lose their job. Because if they lose their job, they have nothing anymore. So, now you see the situation of the world now. Now you understand that anytime you break through financially, people tend to become upset with you. Well, it's not an excuse, it's just an explanation. But here's the thing, if it's proven that you are trustworthy and safe as a believer, then they shouldn't be upset with you increasing financially. The reason they get upset is because they're not trustworthy, they're not reliable. And you having all those options now and acting on them in a faithful way towards Christ will expose how dark and neglectful and wasteful they are. So that's why they want to hinder you and shut you down. So, always agree with Christ and understand the world or society is not your friend. You think society is your friend, you're gonna have a rude awakening soon. That's it for now. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.